Okay, now take this as it stands with a bit of grain of salt. I haven't seen anything from Queensbury on this, but obviously we know today it was announced that Dillian Whyte had suffered a hand injury. I did see a statement from Queensbury saying as much. And obviously what that means then is that the Joe Joyce Dillian Whyte fight ain't going to be happening on April the 5th. The card is still going ahead, of course, and the one kind of upside to Dillian Whyte pulling out with roughly, well, it's basically a month. I mean, it's the 5th of April, this is the 4th of March, so plenty of time to get a replacement opponent. That's the one upside. It'd be a lot worse if it was, we'll say, the 1st of April. No April Fool. But seriously, if it was the 1st of April, you would be scrambling to find an opponent. And with that limited notice, it's unlikely you're going to get anyone of any decent caliber. At least with a month to prepare, if a fighter was already in the gym, ticking over, or at the very least, just trying to stay active, stay in shape. They might not be doing intense training, but you know what I mean. It's still plenty of time to get fight fit. So that's all well and good. Now, I've seen The Sun, I have the Daily Express here, and most other ones, and they are saying Dillian Whyte's replacement named as Joe Joyce gets a new opponent for Manchester fight. It says Joe Joyce will now face, drum roll please, Filip Hrgović on April the 5th, as Dillian Whyte was forced to pull out of their highly anticipated showdown in Manchester. Joe Joyce is set to square off against his old amateur rival Filip Hrgović on April the 5th, following with Dillian Whyte's withdrawal from the highly anticipated Manchester bout. Dillian Whyte has pointed to a finger injury as the cause for stepping back, but Joyce's team and Queensbury Promotions didn't waste any time securing a formidable opponent. Hrgović, aged 32, is gearing up for his comeback fight after suffering a punishing loss to Danny Dubois last June. Meanwhile, the 39-year-old Joe Joyce is looking to bounce back following his unexpected defeat at the hands of Derek Chisora the previous year. The two heavyweights have history, having clashed in the World Boxing Super Series, the World Series of Boxing in 2013, where Joyce emerged victorious on points after 5 rounds of intense action that blended amateur and professional rules. The upcoming bout is to take place at the Kolb Arena, marks Frank Warren's inaugural promotion on streaming service The Zone, and that's essentially it in a nutshell. So, I mean, seriously, as replacement opponents go, many things. One, that's a better opponent. In terms of, Filip Hrgović is at this stage in his respective career, I would say certainly, definitely has more left in the tank than Dillian Whyte. I did see, and I said this in a couple of videos, that I seen a couple of weeks ago, Filip Hrgović, I should say, was, hinting that, the comeback is imminent. And if you go on his Instagram page, he's running in the snow with hashtag comeback. That was roughly 10 hours ago. So I would imagine this was known probably in advance, and he is probably well and truly, in the zone of getting ready for this. Look, Dillian Whyte, I like the Dillian Whyte Joe Joyce fight. I think it's two guys, loser leaves town, and I think it's two guys who are on the decline, and sometimes that can make for an entertaining affair. I think it was a given that we would have seen a knockout. Joe Joyce, his chin seems to have regressed. Still pretty good chin, but it's regressed certainly since the Zhang fights. Dillian Whyte, I mean, he has one of the worst, I think probably has one of the worst chins, certainly amongst the kind of upper echelons of the heavyweight division, maybe in the top 30, maybe even the worst, because he is getting hurt so easy these days. So I think that would have been an interesting fight. It would have been fun to watch. Hrgović, it's a more competitive fight. I was favouring Joe Joyce very heavily. I mean, you have to think of it like this. Hrgović, although he lost his last fight, he fought Daniel Dubois. He did much better than Anthony Joshua did. Levels better, never even touched down against Daniel Dubois. He punched himself out. It was a silly display in that regard, that he was very reckless in terms of conserving his strength and energy, and Dubois ultimately ended up seeing out the storm, riding the storm and taking over. But it was still a good account of himself nevertheless. At the end of the day, that's what that was. Whereas, Anthony Joshua, knocked out in 5 rounds. Dillian Whyte looked awful. He looked awful against an ancient Ebenezer Tete. Never mind the 36-year-old that he's saying he is. 56 more like it. That's more believable. So Hrgović will be coming into this fight feeling, feeling confident. Maybe not as confident as he had in the past. At the end of the day, when he lost to Dubois, he went off the radar for 6 months. So how is the confidence? He hasn't looked stellar really in the last couple of years. You know, he fought a very low level of opposition for a while. Then he fought Zhilei Zhang. Didn't look good in that fight. Scraped the win. Then he fought Dempsey McKeon and went 12 rounds. Looked very laboured in that fight. And look what Moses Atauma did to Dempsey McKeon. Took care of him in 2 minutes? Literally 2 minutes. Took Filip Hrgović 12 rounds to finally step on the gas and get him out of there. Fought Mark flipping Damari. David Haye fought that guy 8 years ago. More now. And 9 years ago now. And Damari looked terrible then. He was hardly going to look better all those years later. And then loses to Dubois. Having said that, more left in the tank than Dillian Whyte. I think him against Joyce. They mentioned their fights in 2013. We don't have that Joyce anymore. We don't have that Filip Hrgović anymore, maybe. But I still think it's an entertaining fight. I think that while it lasts, we'll see some big punches thrown. Both guys are going to let it all hang out in the ring, I would imagine. The fact that I think Joyce has really seen better, like those Zhilei Zhang defeats really damaged him. Like, really damaged him. Like, he went from there to there like that. Like, really, it was crazy. Those Zhang defeats have damaged him. The Chisora fight was a bit of a shock for me anyway, certainly to see him get dropped and lose that way. So I would make Filip Hrgović the favourite. The question is where is Filip Hrgovic's head at? At least with Dillian Whyte, we've seen what he's been doing. We've seen that he's not looked amazing, but we have an idea. With Hrgović, we don't really know where he's at. But in terms of main events, I mean, at the end of the day, when a main event like Dillian Whyte versus Joyce, one of the fighters pulls out, it's never ideal. But to replace him with Filip Hrgović, I mean, that's a better main event as far as I'm concerned. So the show, I was already sold on this show. Now I'm definitely sold on it, you know, both ways. So yeah, I'm all for it. I make Filip Hrgović definitely the favourite in this fight. I think he'll win the fight probably on points. And Filip Hrgović, although he definitely has flaws there, punt resistance ain't one of them. I mean, Filip Hrgović has the chin that we all thought Joyce had. Because this guy has a granite chin. This guy is taking shots from Zhilei Zhang. Yeah, he's officially got a knockdown scored against him by Zhilei Zhang. That wasn't a knockdown. And all the other shots that he was hit with took him flush. Took monster shots from Daniel Dubois, flush. The same shots that had Anthony Joshua on wobbly legs in every round almost, except the second round. And even then he was buzzed a few times. This guy has an iron chin for the heavyweight. He really can take a shot. So Joyce is a heavy-handed fighter, but man, I don't think he's beaten Filip Hrgović in my opinion. But that's why this is so interesting. As I said, we haven't actually as of yet, and I'll just go on and have a quick check on Queensberry's X account, but I haven't seen any official statement from them or kind of any of the boxing publications or anything like that. So let's just have a quick glance on Queensberry Promotions account. I don't recall seeing anything. Is there? Nothing yet. They have made an announcement on his opponent being finalised, all right, but they haven't made an announcement on anything else. So we'll watch the space with Queensberry there. But at least that's what the Daily Express, the Star, the Sun, and all those are saying. They're saying it's Hrgović next. So if it is, happy days. That's a really good fight. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, people, I hope you enjoyed the video. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, peace.